Hello.
Are we live?
We're live.
All right,
We're
I feel like
live.
we're supposed to like hum our theme music, um, but hey, we're live. And I'm assuming we're live because
Yes.
I'm still
A lot of differences. Is this a first?
got an Instagram, but apparently I don't. That's all right. Don't add anything. Nick is on his way. Nick was working hard today, and Matt, I assume, is either working hard or doing nothing, one or the other. But Matt is not here with us tonight, um, and so we're doing our best to. Well, Ben's doing his best to produce. I'm doing my best to talk, and there's still a lot of disc golf did not take an off week. Um, and hey, everybody, if everything goes off without a hitch live, maybe this will be our new favorite format. I think Ben, um, we're gonna mention our show sponsor in a minute, but Ben, like you're trying to run this through your system and your internet, and you are like out on the road. Where are you actually at?
I am at Mount Rushmore right now, and I love this podcast so much that I haven't even been able to see Mount Rushmore. I just pulled into the lot and had to get going on setting this up because it is a lot of intricate stuff to set up as a substitute studio. Obviously, with Matt, always has his settings, but there's a lot of trial and error, and hopefully this works. I'm honestly extremely happy that the internet is actually working because I'm on Starlink too. So there's so many variables that could make this not happen, but it is happening, and I'm very happy that we're able to go live.
Yeah. Yeah, look, as human beings, whatever that's worth, it would be easy just to scrap tonight, right, Ben? It's like, me, Nick's running late, Matt's gone. But look, uh,
We're
we
here.
we do it because we enjoy disc golf. At the same time, there
Yes.
is something about being committed to a routine, and we do this. We call them our fans, but really, I think they're kind of our virtual friends, right?
Our
Where we talk disc
staggies.
golf, yeah. And whether they like what we say or don't like, we're here to kind of bring it to you anyway. So without going too far, even though we don't have the big pop up on the screen, we're going to mention TitanDiscGolf.com. We're so thankful for their partnership. Yeah, Ben's pointing virtually all the way from Mount Rushmore over to my hat, which says TitanDiscGolf.com. Definitely go check out their website. Look, those of us who are probably listening to this show, for the most part, probably are disc golf nerds, and you know there's lots of retailers out there, lots of websites. You probably have your local pro shop. We understand that, right? We support everybody, but specifically, if you're a fan of this show, go check out TitanDiscGolf.com for a couple reasons. One, they're supporting us, and if you like us, that's a great connection. Two, they've got a great online shop. They have a lot of inventory. Sometimes you'll find things there you might not find somewhere else, even at some of the big, disc golf retailers. So we're friends with all the retailers out there, but TitanDiscGolf.com, go check them out.
Yes.
We've done some fun Easter egg hunts in the past. I have no idea. Matt has those details if that exists, but hey, you never know. Go stumble across some discs out there, buy something that looks good, support them as they support us.
Yeah. That's the best way to
So,
support us. Well, one of the best ways. The
yeah,
best way to
exactly.
support us is to Venmo Josh directly.
Yeah, yeah, Venmo me directly. I'll take it. I don't think that's ever
No.
happened. Um, so Ben, Mount
Yes.
Rushmore. I always feel like that's like a disc golf podcast talk. We're like, who's on your Mount
Ooh,
Rushmore?
wait, we should.
That would be
Let's
like,
do
I
it.
don't think we're doing that tonight, but that would
We're
be like,
not? Wait, why
I
not?
don't.
This is our show. Like, we can do whatever we want.
We can do whatever we want. Like that's. I'm not saying
Ah,
anybody's holding us accountable. All right. Well, maybe save that. But
okay. We'll do it at the
who?
end. That's
The
such a good
reason
idea
why
because
I
I'm
would
at
defer is
Mount
like
Rushmore.
I'm such like an analytical person. Some of you probably can catch that by listening to the show regularly. But so much so that I'd be like, I'm not prepared to tell you who my Mount Rushmore is. Like, I need time to like actually work it
I'm
out and think
prepared.
it through.
I'm off the
All right.
cuff.
All right. Well, maybe we'll
That's
do
how
it.
we do this podcast, or at least how I do it. Just kind of just let it flow.
Well, presuming Nick is able to join after his long commute home, after a long day of work, we'll just drop it on and be like, Nick, who's your Rushmore? And
I
see if
feel
he
like
puts one of his best friends
it's
the
pretty
mountain.
easy. Yeah, but there's always like the problem with the Rushmore. There's always like whether it's legends
I
or
guess that's
like the best players. Like some people say like Barry Schultz or like
sure.
Nate's
But I
Doss,
guess that's
and
why
they're
it's
not
your Mount
wrong, but
Rushmore,
yeah,
right? Like you
exactly.
you set the criteria. Maybe it's literally like your best friend at your local home course, and you throw them on the Mount Rushmore because you're just like the people I like make it on the hill, the mountain. But anyway, Ben, thank you for hunkering down and getting Starlink and firing it off. Obviously, anybody in the chat, let us know if there's any issues. There could be,
Yes,
but for the most part, we're gonna
it's
stick it
going
out.
well.
Um, and we'll see how long we can run the show tonight. We normally get 2 hours. We'll see if we fill it up. And if we don't, we promise to still give you some good stuff. So this past weekend, disc golf doesn't take a break. It's interesting. We're seeing a little bit of the field split because I think people have different options before the next major swing in Europe.
Hmm.
Um, it's not a big number, but I'm actually
Ricky is one of them.
an awesome experience back in U.S. women. So if you're coming
Hmm.
back to the U.S., but we have
Ale, yeah. Oh, it'd be super cool if they just called it. I mean, I know it's like how it's pronounced, but the Ale Open, and then it's just everyone drinking ginger ale.
yeah.
Wait,
It's
what?
not
They
my
said it was
actual
solved.
mic. Yeah, but it's back again. And I can obviously keep talking, but
Oh, yeah, it's breaking up, yeah, because probably of Starlink. Yeah, okay. What about now, guys? Sorry to our post audio listeners. Like I said, this is just on the cuff, and we wouldn't be having a show without this. So, I think you should
yeah.
be good. Maybe I don't know. Okay,
All right, they
I
say
think
good
it's
now.
when
So,
I think it's when I switched to a website browser because I was looking at the LA Open stats. For some reason, that
all right, Ben.
so I'm not switching.
No more real-time research. Nothing. You're
Yes,
just sitting there
yes.
staring at the screen.
I'm gonna
And
stare.
hey, yeah, like they're saying, like if it sounds like I've been a smoker all my life, or if I'm Robo Josh, like both options might be true. You never really know. But all I open. Um, that time zone thing's killer for us on the East Coast, which makes me sympathize for those in Europe who are always consuming our media, right? Over here in the US. It made it hard to sit there and watch all 54 holes. However, I was able to go and kind of take in the event um, as much as possible, and I want to kind of walk through it. Um, I'm going to presume that most of our listeners know what happened, but I'm also going to actually assume, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that because of the time zone, we probably didn't have as many people really consume the event as much as we normally
It's
would.
it's really
But
hard to.
yeah, but by the way, like the parts I did consume, it's worth consuming. Like we'll come back, like all the white, what's the actual name? It's their white course, but is it just the All A? I don't know. All A Disc Golf Center. Thank you. All A Disc Golf Center White. One of the top ranked courses in the world. I think UDisc has it at number 2, maybe.
Yeah, and all the pros have posts like how it's their favorite course, or like a lot of that's what I see on social media. Like this is one of the best courses in the world, and that's why a lot of people, I think, traveled specifically for this event because it's one of the it's like consensus, like everyone's not everyone, but a lot of people's favorite course. So
Yeah. Well, it looked awesome. From what I could see, it would obviously be incredibly fun to get there. So in FPO, let's go through FPO and NPO. I'm jumping to the punchline, but then I want to walk back to the final round a little bit. So Silva Saarinen, final round comeback to beat Kristen Tatar. And if you're on social media, you'll see Kristen congratulated Silva. I think her post said on her first Elite Series win. Um, so two things. First of all, world class, and I mean this seriously from
yes,
Kristen to give a big congratulations, a picture of her giving her a hug. Like you can tell it's truly heartfelt. Kristen wants to win every single time, but when another competitor gets a win, especially like that, I think she celebrates their success. So that's first and foremost. But secondly, it's not Silva's first Elite Series win. And
no,
I don't think that's on purpose from Kristen. Although it's kind of funny because it is her first event. It's Silva's first win over Kristen in the field. So, it's kind of like Kristen I'm being sarcastic here. I don't think Kristen meant it, but it's like, oh, this is your first real win. It's the first time you beat me, which is,
No.
I don't think Kristen's saying
Well,
that.
yeah,
But
Silva is seems to be, at least last year, she was the queen of the European DGPT events. So
yeah, she went on that Scorcher last year. It was a bunch of different tiers, but basically she won like 5 or 6 in a row in Europe.
yes,
Which, by the way, 2 of those were Elite Series. That's why it's not her
yeah,
first. So
yes,
this is her 3rd Elite Series. She also had some other when there was a Silver Series. I think she had a win there. But we're making fun of it a tiny bit, but actually in reality, it is a pretty big deal to finally win an Elite Series with Kristen in the field. Now it's not a full stacked field of all of our best FPO players, but Kristen being literally one of, if not the best, to win is
yes.
a big deal.
Right now,
Um,
she's the best for sure.
yeah, for sure. So here's how it went down. Kristen's ahead by 7 shots after round 1. Like 7
Yeah,
in one
yeah.
round over Silva, not over the field, but over
I was
Silva.
following because of pop drop block. I picked Silva, so I was
Yeah.
actively
Wait, where'd you pick Silva? In which slot?
lock
To win?
as my lock.
Okay.
So yeah, I was
All right.
actively
So
like kind of paying attention each round, looking at night.
so I did the weird strategy where I picked Silva to lock and to drop Ben, which I know is counterintuitive.
I did that with Niklas.
Okay, but listen. So Silva had a terrible first round, and I'm like, all right, that'll be fine. Then she comes scorching all the way back, and again, we're already jumping ahead of the narrative here, but she wins. But listen, she's down by 7. Then Silva outplays Kristen by 6 in the second round. So like 2 really lopsided rounds. And again, there's more players in the field. I don't want to ignore them, but we're talking about the 2 it came down to.
Yeah.
So there's a 1-shot gap going into the final round. Kristen builds a 4-stroke lead coming into hole 6. So it's kind of like pouring it on. Anybody go back and watch like hole 6. If you're wanting to see what's actually happened, go watch hole 6, hole 14, and hole 16. You're going to see how Silva won. Kristen goes out of bounds on a forehand. And Ben, I know it's hard to consume it all, so you may not have seen this, but let me tell you, on hole 6, Silva did what I've done many times, which is throw off your line, completely off your line, pulls it to the right. It goes through some, like, I believe they're like white birch trees. It's an elevated tee down to the pin, and it just kisses like a birch, like a light branch that's hanging over in the woods. And one of those perfect redirects where it actually like helps the disc fly better. You know what I mean? It like
Yeah,
takes
yeah,
the
yeah.
wobble out of it and just like gently redirects it. And
Makes it hyzer flip again.
no, like it just redirected it back down straight to the pin, and it was like 2 feet away from the basket.
Yeah.
So
Valid.
like she does
Yeah.
not throw a good drive and lands 2 feet away from the
Doesn't
basket.
deserve it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean it's all part of the game,
I know. Well,
right?
it's
Because Kristen
funny.
goes out of bounds.
It's funny
But
because me being on tour and like caddying for Ganon, listening to the pros, like the pros when they're in contention and competing, they get like generally mad when someone gets lucky. It's a thing where they're like, are you kidding me? I throw a perfect shot and then this guy just sneaks and then mine gets hit or stuff like that. So it's a real thing that they are like get upset
which
about.
I can understand. To compound it a little bit, Kristen did go OB there, and then Silva gets what we'll call that lucky redirect.
Yeah.
But hole 6 isn't over. So Kristen gets a drop zone shot. It's kind of again, all it looks awesome. It's this little like platform, and you just basically got it. It's a makeable putt. I mean, it's long, it's challenging. There's a little bit of a ceiling with some branches, and there's a little bit of water. Not, I mean, like when I say a little bit, like no issue clearing it. Like it might be 10 feet of water maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen goes for the putt, launches it high, kind of a really high float, lofty putt, probably playing it safe, trying to see if she can drop it into the basket, and it hits an obscure branch, not like an obvious branch. It hits a branch, drops down,
Iron
and rolls
leaf.
back OB. It goes OB, so her drop zone putt goes OB. So that hole totally lopsided. It's not where the tournament ended. In fact, Kristen still had a 1-stroke lead there, but a 3-stroke swing on one hole just really eats you up. Hole 14, Silva hits a tree, but drops in a fairway and cleans up with a big putt. Kristen gets a clean shot through the trees, but misses the putt. Now, it's always interesting. I always wonder, how we talk about big putting, like, somebody steps up and does it.
Yes.
When you're basically the score's so close that it's almost like match play, I think it does matter, right? Silva steps up and hits a big putt. Kristen could have laid up, but after seeing that putt go in, laying up is basically giving up a stroke.
Yeah, you're giving up a stroke.
So, of course, she doesn't lay up, which I think is the right call, but she doesn't lay up and she airballs it. Ben, she airballs it. It's not a ball. So what do you call it? Air disc? Air disc it?
I still use air ball.
Yeah.
Air ball.
And then on the comeback, which is quite long, hits a tree, gets a bogey. Hole 16, they both have bad drives. Silva makes an incredible recovery shot. Kristen, not so much. Ends up Silva a 2-stroke lead and more or less, sealed the deal on hole 17 and 18. Silva, in Silva's own way, we're getting to know her more over the last year or two. I'm going to say she was emotional on the green. Clearly she was, but Silva's level of emotions, it's not like, okay, if Cap Merch is like a 10 when she wins on hole 18, Silva's like a 2 or a 1 if you talk about like extreme, like
she's stoic.
But I'm having fun saying that. She was emotional. There were definitely some tears in the eyes, mixed in with some rain because there were rain in the last few holes on her glasses. Kristen giving a big hug, and you could tell Silva. She said a couple times she lost so many times before in the final holes. I think she said, and now she didn't, and it felt good. And beyond that, she didn't have much to say. Literally, they're interviewing her. She's like, I can't say anything. So I think she was just truly speechless. She did say a few more things, but she actually said, I can't say anything. And I'm not holding that against her. It was a big moment for her to get that win.
Yeah, I think
so
that's just her. Like that's just her personality. I think it's just like she's just very focused and just like eyes on the prize, not really too theatrical. But yeah, I think that's cool that she said that this is the first time I didn't let it up, because that's big. I mean, we saw at Portland, the whole AB Ganon thing, like, where I know AB is like a 5-time tour winner and pressure, like, but still for something like that, pressure gets to you when you're leading in the final few holes. But then we've also seen like AB, where he has let up leads and then finally gets one, then another, and then another. So maybe this is kind of like the start of Silva kind of dominating in. Obviously, she's dominating, doing great, but maybe she gets a U.S. tour win coming soon, because she's now confident. Like, hey, I did this before. I know what it feels like, and I can do it. I think it just comes with experience, and obviously she's gonna have still, like, Ganon in Portland shanked it in hole 18. He was just nervous, like that.
And still got the win.
Yes, that will never go away. That was like, he said, the worst shot of his life, but so it gets a little easier the more you do. It's just so crazy to see how, like, on a ton of these tournaments, how the last few holes have like people like just start like losing their minds sometimes, or stuff like that. It's so intriguing, because you like never know what's gonna happen. So that's kind of like the really cool thing about this sport, is that even if you're up, 2-3 going into a few holes, you never know, just because, the pressure is real, because you're playing for a lot of money and there's a lot of fans there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, literally right down to the very end, Kristen hit a birdie and Silva did not, right? And gets the 1-stroke win, but it really wasn't sealed. In fact, on the final green, that fun interview where, now I'm forgetting his name, Disc Golf Network. Anyway, he kept trying to draw more responses from Silva, and it just wasn't happening. It's like it was like a grind. Like, he was trying his best.
That's awesome.
But I think he did say something like, when did you know you like won the event? Which, to be fair, it was close enough where like she didn't know until.
Yeah, you never know until like you tap out.
She's like, not till the last putt, like not till I actually won.
Andrew Gum.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's a great name, by the way.
That's a tough interview, and again, that's not a knock on Silva. You've got both language, kind of second language challenges, and personality, and the emotions mixed with your first big win over Kristen, which is a factor. Again, not her first win, but over Kristen. And to your point, Ben, like the rest of the strong FPO field wasn't there, but Kristen's at the top of that like
Yeah,
stack.
yeah,
So if
it
you beat
doesn't even
Kristen,
matter. Yeah.
you believe
It,
I could have
yes.
beat Holland, Missy,
Good chance.
Ella. Well,
Obviously,
right, I could have.
they're all,
Whether you would
yeah.
have is a different
Yeah.
question, but like she's got to feel like she could have beat them, right?
Yes,
Um,
100%.
by the way, we're not going to go through every other name, but just down the leaderboard a bit: Rachel Turton, Lida Letomaki, Anakin Christensen, Ida Emily Ness, and so on. Some other names we've seen on the U.S. tour further down in the past. We see Katie Tati, Kaidi Alsalu, and then a bunch of other names mixed in. Not trying to leave anybody out, but
Well,
always fun seeing some
you
new
left one
faces.
out, Julia Fours. I picked her for my pop, and
All right.
she's only 13, and she won like a big event the week prior, and she
Yeah.
finished top 10 in the first round. I think she shot like 6 down, like something like a 980 rated round, and I was like, oh my goodness, what a pick! And she's only 13. So it's just crazy to
Yeah.
see. The Europeans are gonna take over.
Yeah, it's gonna. That's why I say it's fun seeing the new names because obviously some of them will make a decision. I think it's still a big step to decide to travel on the tour. But there will be a scattered few who show up here and there and test the waters, and this is a great place for us to see that. So,
Well,
so yeah,
well, I was gonna say yes, congratulations, Silva. And I know we want to touch MPO, right? So maybe I'll let me say what I was gonna say after MPO because it has to do with kind of like the Europe scene and stuff like that.
all right, we'll transition that way. So in NPO again, jumping right to the end, and then I want to come back. So congrats to Niklas, and some big differences, but actually some big similarities in the way that these two fields went down. So Silva has a final round comeback to beat Kristen. Niklas has a final round comeback to beat Ricky. So both of them were in second heading into the final round, and both of them are going up against some of the best in the game, right? Kristen and Ricky. And so it's just kind of fun to see that. Ricky, though, like I want to talk about some of the holes, but he was only one under on the last 10 holes. He's only one under on the last 10 holes. That's a tough final stretch to try to seal the deal on a tournament where you've got a lead. 10 holes out there, almost all of them are birdieable and doesn't happen. And in fact, really starts that kind of falling apart on hole 9. So you know how I said hole 6 in FPO, go watch it. So anybody who hasn't, go skim that. Oh, by the way, side comment. Do you know anything about, is Jomez producing for these European events?
MDG Media is. That's how
where
I
we
was
gotta
able
find
to
it.
watch some of the content or the coverage after the
Maybe
fact.
I should have
because
known that, but I didn't. So
it's all good.
but Disc Golf Network obviously has it as well, at least the long form. And so if you go out there, check out hole 9, NPO final round. Ricky's a little short on the drive, but he putts up. I believe it's uphill at this point. Rolls away. He's a little to the left. It's not that far, but anyway, puts a low putt just off the cage and rolls all the way down the hill. The worst. Now, we've seen these pro players, it's all about the mental game. Often they step up to the next one and they cash it from like twice as far.
Yes.
I'm sure
Rick's
Ricky
about
had the mental.
momentum.
Yeah, I'm sure Ricky had the mental confidence to do that. I mean, he stepped right up, but he does it again and it rolls away again. Not the same direction. This time off to the right. It hits off the top of the basket and rolls away. That's gotta like test even the best like player's mental game. Incredibly frustrating. So he gets a double bogey on hole 9 and Niklas gets a birdie. You know how there was a 3-stroke swing in FPO on hole 6. There was a 3-stroke swing in NPO on hole 9. And similarly, all of a sudden, it just puts a crunch on it. Ricky misses a putt low again on hole 16. Nicholas, that's where he gets the lead with a circle's edge putt himself. So that moment of like Ricky missing, Niklas steps up and hits it, gives him the lead. Niklas parks hole 17. Ricky gets off in the woods again. It kind of cinched up a bit because Niklas goes over. Like, totally makes sense. But Niklas and Ricky, I think, were having a little bit of a professional debate on who was outside on hole 18's putt. Because Niklas is OB, and so he'll be putting from Well, wherever he was, it was super close, right? And so it's a question of like, is Ricky further out? Who has to putt first? Ricky ends up having to putt first and misses it, but I don't know, less than an inch. You can't tell obviously on camera, but just hits the band. It actually looked like a good putt. After a few putts where he was low, I think he was conscious of that, and I just wonder if there was any like, right? You miss a couple putts low. What do you do after that? You make sure
You go
you're in it.
high.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm not sure. Again, these professionals, like, it's probably not fair to apply my thought process to theirs. But he goes like 1 inch high at the most. It hits the band, drops out. Niklas now knows he can lay up, and taking the bogey doesn't hurt him at all. So it's still kind of close down to hole 18, even though Niklas had a two-stroke lead heading into it. So Niklas has the most wins on tour this year. Maybe you already knew that, but like, is that a surprise at all? Like,
Not a
he has 3
surprise.
wins.
Not
the only
a
other
surprise.
multiple
but
winners, Ganon.
I think the biggest surprise was him going back to back. I don't think anyone would have expected that.
Yeah.
You always expect him to get one here and there. He's just that good. He reminds me of like a Adam Hammes, where it's like, if you see Adam Hammes win, it's not a surprise at all, but it's just like when he does it, a surprise. Like he does it when you don't expect. You're expecting AB or Ganon or Ricky or Paul, but then he's just a solid player. So back to back is like, that was impressive. And then to win the third, it's very impressive as well. Obviously not as sack of the field, but still he had to come back and beat Ricky. It's kind of like another example of like the whole
That's what
Kristen
I'm saying.
thing.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Like the whole field is not as strong as when you have the entire field internationally all together. But when you're beating Ricky, that gives you the confidence to say, and by the way, not only Ricky, like there were some other really good players here, even European players who were all coming up.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
let's not even mention,
like,
US. There's a good like Matti Villman, like he just
that's what
won.
I'm
Like
saying.
there's
exactly, and Vino and Lori and all these other names that we've like heard and known. So like, Niklas doesn't need the same confidence click probably that Silva needed, but he got it anyway, right? It's like, okay, now, and so like, are you counting, not that you would have anyway, but are you counting Niklas out for any of this, like the majors coming up in Europe? I mean, he's got to be like, 3 wins this year. It's not quite officially home turf, right? It's not exactly that, but there is something about being in Europe when you're from Europe compared to traveling from the US. Like, he's got to be one of the,
he loves
I don't know
being
if he's
home.
a favorite, but he's got to have good odds. He's got to have good odds.
He's not a favorite, obviously. I think you'd be like, like Ganons and ABs are always.
I know.
Always the
So look,
right
I think I agree with you. But remember, he has
I
the
wouldn't be
most wins on
surprised.
tour.
I would not be surprised. I mean, he's been so close to winning. Like, what USDGC was it? Is it multiple major or like he's been so close to winning just like a ton of times. So. It's
I'm not quite sure how I feel, but I think he's got to be, like you're saying. So in NPO this year total, we have 10 events, 7 different winners, by the way, in NPO this year. The only multiple winner, as I just mentioned, is Ganon and Niklas with the most. So if there's only 10 events and you've won 30% of them, pretty good.
Yeah, no, he's a stud. I mean, like 3 to put that on your resume. It's like, who did it last year? Ganon, obviously, AB. Can't even think of anyone else that might have done it last year.
Yeah. Anyway, so congrats to Niklas. What are you thinking about the field, right? You talked about the European field, both NPO and FPO. What were you thinking there?
Oh yeah. So also shout out Gary, Tour Life host. What up? Thanks for joining. So my whole like obviously we see a different like a different field, we're saying not a strong field in Europe. And you were talking about how like the Europeans might come up to the US or like test the waters. I was thinking, is disc golf going to get to a point where the EuroLeague and basketball, that's like either when you're a really good basketball player, retired, and then, like I think Russell Westbrook allegedly just got $150 million for 3 years in the EuroLeague agreement. But is like, once disc golf, is that going to be like the new Corn Ferry Tour or the G League, like going over to Europe and trying to person, obviously if you're in Europe, but I'm saying a US person, is that, do you see that ever happening? I think I think I don't know. I think it's starting to maybe shape that way. I don't know. It's not big enough, but I think it's a cool thing to see. Like if you're struggling in the U.S., maybe you go to Europe to prove your chops, to build your confidence, and then come back, kind of like all these sports.
I see what you're saying. So like I'm gonna say maybe, but I have two
Maybe.
thoughts. Is
Yes.
first of all, we did see some players in past years uh, kind of bulk up on their European tour because they could rack up more pro tour points. I think there was more to it. They weren't only going after pro tour points. Remember, was it a couple years ago when Paul went out there and did an extended European tour? And
Yes.
so we've
When that was
seen
like
other
huge
players.
news. That was like,
Yeah.
do you remember
Well, at
that?
that
That was
time,
like
it was still
crazy
kinda growing
news
a
where it
little
was
bit.
like Paul, like why is Paul? Oh, because
It was more than just
it was
points
big
for him.
news because of the poll. Okay, that's why I forget why exactly, but yeah, it was because. But yeah,
All right, so I'm still gonna. I have my second thought, but also I think Nick may be joining us. I just hope your computer doesn't crash if you try to bring him in.
I
no,
was gonna
Nick's
say
here.
if yeah,
No, I
will
know.
it?
Sorry.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
wanna-
you're good.
you
I
wanna
keep
come in, Nick?
I keep forgetting you're not in our group chat right now because your phone's messed up, and so I was just like,
All right,
I texted, I was just like, hey, I'm here by the way.
I know,
All right.
we know. I got sidetracked and
Everybody,
You're good.
passionate.
You're
welcome
good.
Nick Carl to the show, who worked hard all day, but he's
Hello.
out here joining us.
I am.
Let us know in the chat if there's any audio issues, as we're kind of running slim on production. But thanks, Nick, for joining us. So I want to just finish this thought. So Ben, in other words, my point is we've seen some of that, but secondly, that might be true right now in the European field. To your point, like people could go there and kind of like,
But like,
figure out how
Yeah.
to make it. But the European field itself is actually potentially going to continue to, like they're already almost there, but elevate their game where that's not going to
no,
be an
yeah,
easy pickings.
but no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not saying the Europeans are worse than us. I'm just saying a lot of Europeans
It is a
are
smaller tour.
are in the USA. Like most of them are like most of the ones like Niklas, Vino, even Yona is starting to. That's what I'm saying. Where it's like where they're all like, let's say it's Worlds, like
Yep.
not even. That's such a bad example. Worlds is such a bad. Like let's say it's the Green Mountain Championship, and then there's an event in Europe. It's like my guy Eli Swanson. I keep picking him for pop, and he's doing well in Europe. I feel like that's such a perfect little opportunity for like someone of his caliber of player that maybe like Clay Edwards is actually such a good example of this. He won recently in Europe.
Yep.
And last year he won a
is it
few
Q
events.
Series event, I think.
Yeah, last year he won a few events. I don't know if it was elite or it was like it was high up events, and I picked him for one of them, and he won. And like that type of that player, I think it's maybe that we're gonna see that in the future, where it's like where it's a little tougher in the U.S. Maybe you go to Europe and get that winning experience, and then come. I don't know. Obviously, that this is just all hypothetical, but I was just thinking that recently. Like that'd be like will we be seeing that more? Where it's like people want to chase after their dream, and the U.S. is getting a little too competitive. And when I say U.S., I mean like the DGBT events, like the main events, like Worlds, GMC, whatever. And are we going to see more Americans trying to make a name for themselves and a living in Europe? I don't know. That's my thoughts.
So what you're saying is, if Nick wants to revive his career,
That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
God.
That's a good
Go over
example.
Yeah, that's-
that's
that's-
another
see
good
what
example. That's another good example where it's
Oh
like,
God, no.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a cool, interesting thing to see. Personally, that's just a random idea I had the other day. I don't know why.
Hey, no, it's fine. Maybe you were thinking about taking your RV over.
Yeah,
Guess that
well,
would work.
I was thinking like maybe if I'm 1,000 rated, maybe I just start in Europe and be like, all right, it's just like obviously maybe it's unrealistic because you can just do Chris Dickerson and just win every tournament in Tennessee and then get prepared for the tour that way. But I'm just saying it's a cool thing, cool idea.
Yeah. No, if I were at that level, I'm sure it'd cross my mind, and it could be fun too. Depending where you're at in your in life, like just being able to go do that generally and like do a tour in Europe,
Yeah.
like that sounds awesome.
Well, I think Clay
Yeah.
Edwards is taking advantage of that. Like I said, he's won some pretty significant events out there, and like it's like obviously bolsters his confidence, and it's cool that he has that title of some things of winning those events. I'd have to look them up, but yeah, I think that's a good example of someone who's like focusing sometimes more on Europe or staying Europe longer rather than flying back and forth.
Well, at this event, Eli Swanson won $488. Clay Edwards did not cash this week, so that'll make the tour tough. But your point still stands. And then obviously for FPO, Silva wins 4,000, and NPO Niklas wins 8,500. And I guess that's U.S. dollars. I'm sure. However that gets paid out, I don't know.
In Swedish crowns.
Okay. Yeah, act like you know what you're saying.
No,
Maybe you do.
is it? It's the crowns. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
All right. You might be dead right. I'm just saying I'm not confident. It may be exactly correct, and I am just not going to say for sure because I don't know. So what do you think? Like, so you're talking about your situation, not situation, but your thought about could players go over there and do that? What do you think for those players who are choosing to actually travel back and forth? Both European players, so you mentioned like Niklas would be one of them, and then U.S. players heading over and coming back. We've seen different players do this for a few different events. It was Kona Piste, right? And then back to Northwest, I think.
Yep.
And then back out to Ale, and then back to Preserve. There's actually a few that are doing this. Like, our sport historically has never really been in a position where people are doing that. I was just thinking, like, what do you all
Super
think?
cool.
That's just interesting. Like,
Yeah,
I love it.
I think it's great. And I'm just going to use Ricky off the top of my head because I know he just went out to LA Open, but I know like Ulibarri went out to Kona Peach Day, and but I think for Ricky, who is obviously in a great money position, probably makes a great salary, disc sales, everything like that, he can afford to do this. One, I think one of the other things is the U.S. players do have such a fan base out in the European countries, and they don't get to spend much time out there except for the select few events that happen. Like this year, fortunately, we have the Worlds and everything like that going on out there. But for the most part, Ricky doesn't really get to interact with his European fans as much. And so being able to be in the position that he's in and fly out for the week, go out to the Ale Open, and see his fans out there, interact with his fans out there, I think is awesome for his brand in and of itself. So I think for players of that caliber, it's definitely well worth it. I think it's a good business decision on their part too. Like, I don't think Ricky's losing any money out of doing that. Obviously, he just won $4,500 out there, so that probably covered. Maybe Ricky's a pretty bougie guy. Maybe he was going first class, so it might not have covered the flight. But
who knows?
Yeah, exactly. But all the everything that I'm saying is kind of I think case in point for him. I think it makes sense for a lot of those guys. Ezra.
Well, I was gonna say it's like so for example, if you look at the schedule, I don't know their actual plans, but like Matt Bell's over there, but it looks like he's staying over in Europe. Like, right, he's not coming back, so that makes sense. Kevin Jones actually appears to be staying in Europe for longer. It looks like he may be coming back in between, but he's extending his stay. When I say extending his stay, I'm literally only looking at his PDGA registered events. I have no idea what he's actually staying or doing.
Yeah.
Maybe he's flying back. But then you see somebody like Ricky and Ezra, who, if you take their registration as truth, they're bouncing back and forth. So you mentioned Ezra as well. So that's another example name.
And Ezra loves to be, he's a world traveler. He did a bunch of traveling during the off season. I think he's just taking advantage of the good spot that he's in life right now anyways. And
he's like a hardcore world traveler, like influencer. You look at his Instagram and you're like, what the heck is going on?
I think another big reason they go back and forth is you get an Elite Series win if you win. Like I know Paul Yulee right before the Northwest Championship, he was over in Europe, and then obviously we saw what happened. He dominated at Milo and actually did play really well the whole tournament. But like, how cool would that be for Yulee to get his Elite Series win? And I think it's just another opportunity to get that, and I think that's kind of another thing that why people go, because it's still a Elite Series win. Like, it doesn't matter about the field. You're still consider yourself an Elite Series champion. So I think that's another big play where it's like, I can do this. It could be my weekend this weekend, because obviously the field isn't as competitive because it's split.
So do you think, so I'm going to preface this, Ricky has enough success in his whole career where individually these things probably don't matter, but also people who are that competitive, the best in the game, are competing for everything. And he knows Nicholas is a top competitor, so he's not taking anything away. But don't you think a little bit to that point, Ben, that he's over there in Europe and like he believes he should get the win?
Yeah, I think
And then
Ricky
he doesn't.
is
It's
going
gotta
over
rub
there.
him even more, like frustrating.
Yeah, dude, I picked him for preserve. I like obviously I want Ganon to win, but since our pop drop
We
lock,
only get 5.
I only have 5. I don't think I have
Can't
2
pick him every
Yeah.
week.
Ganon picks. So I picked Ricky because I have a good feeling he won preserve last year, and I have a good feeling it's gonna light a fire. But I think Rick went over there, one, because it's beautiful, but I think it's like, you get to add an Elite Series to your belt. I think it's just like, I think that's a big play, or not a play, but a big reason a lot of these players head over, go back and forth, because when you're that competitive and you're doing it professionally, you want to win. And in disc golf's a thing where 99% of the time you're losing. Like it's a sport where like most people are going to lose. So it's like you want to get that win.
So Ricky's averaging 10th this year. I think that's weighed down by a really bad Waco finish. But he has 2 second places. So does Ricky get a win this year?
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking.
Yes,
Yes. I was just looking at his PDGA page, and glad you mentioned it. Averaging 10th throughout the year. I mean, he's having a great year. He's playing really well. We're seeing him a lot of final cards. Most notably, I mean, Supreme Flight Open. He was right in the mix with all the other Discraft guys. And I think going over for him to Ale was, he knows he can win it. He unfortunately lost, but at the same time, this is something where, let's say he did get the win. I think that's a huge confidence boost going into, a really, really good stretch of the year. The next 3 months are going to be, we've got some majors going on. We've got some massive Elite Series events going on. So I think getting a win, getting that confidence would have been super helpful for him. And I think, Ben, it's a great pick going Ricky at Preserve this week.
Yeah.
Won it last year. Is coming off a second place finish and kind of like, you know what? I was right there. Maybe I can do it this week. So
what do you think though? Like again, Nick, I'm not. You don't have to out yourself one way or the other. I don't know if you caught much of the tournament. It was tough to watch just because of the time zone. However, if you go look at the final round specifically, Ricky missed multiple putts low, missed his final putt high. And like, so coming back to the preserve, I guess what I'm getting at is it's not like it's, I'm just curious. It's not like he can just get angry or motivated. Like, is that literally just the odds eventually rack up and you miss putts? Or like, is it just not clicking? Because we all know, and by the way, this is true of all of our greats. Like Paul Macbeth, when he's like playing his best, like putting, right? And then if putting falls off, like things change. Same thing for Ricky in this particular case. It's like, man, he used to hit every one of those.
Yeah.
Like the putts I saw, he would have made every single one of them back in the day.
Yeah.
So it'll just be interesting to see if he finds that. Then I think he wins the preserve, and I think he wins multiple events this year. That's more the question.
Yeah.
Too, but
and that's what we've been seeing over the course of the tour the last few years. The events that Ganon hasn't won this year usually have been because of his putting, right? This event over at Ale, Ricky didn't win it because of his putting, which is normally what we consider Ricky's strongest point. But he's smart enough to know that maybe this week he's just putting in an insane amount of putting practice. Who knows? And all these guys know what they're doing wrong, right? And it's tough to fix it right in the tournament. But hey, they still get tournament jitters. They're still nervous, and
that's what I was.
It's funny when
about. You could be the greatest, and you'll still be nervous.
You'll still be nervous for it. You were talking about Ganon shot an 18 over at Pacific of the tournament that just happened that he won, and but I think for all of these players, they're going to have times where they're hitting every single putt. They're going to have times where they're missing, putts that we normally see them make. And sometimes it happens to where you miss that putt on hole 2 for, let's say you're putting for birdie, it rolls, and then now you're putting for par, you miss that one, now you get a bogey. It messes with your confidence. And so maybe something happened early on for him and it just kind of put him in the shambles. And Nicholas had the momentum going in through that whole round. And it's just, that's what makes disc golf fun. It's what makes watching it really fun.
Yeah,
and like I have a couple group chats with different friend groups, and my boys down in Virginia, they're all saying like, holy crap, what the hell is going on hole 9 right now? So I wasn't watching it personally, but I can almost imagine exactly what you're describing as, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, plus 2 brutal rollaways, right? I mean, so like that just kind of compounds the situation. But even after the first rollaway, like his next putt is a putt Ricky makes. I'm not saying it's easy. It's a little bit on a side hill. I think it was like Circle's Edge, but it's just like right? When things are clicking, and that's
when he
true for
has
all
his
players, so-
momentum.
Right, exactly. And it was just like not there.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
can
know.
see
I
that.
have this feeling that it's fun for us to speculate. At the same time, somebody with Ricky who maybe is like, compared to, when he's winning all the majors, maybe he feels that there's a little monkey on his back, but he's still like super confident and super good. So
Dude, he's
I
like
bet some of our
10,
speculations wrong. What I mean
40
is, I
something
don't think he's
crazy
like
rated.
chasing a win
1052.
because he desperately needs a
Oh.
win. I don't think he's like scared about his putting. I'm sure all the confidence is there,
Yeah.
but it's still
Yeah,
interesting to
he's
observe.
still a dog.
Yeah, right. Which is why
Yeah.
we're all saying, oh, he's definitely going to get a win this
Yeah,
year.
1052. That's
He's-
what,
If you were
yeah.
betting,
He's
right?
he's still waiting for his first. He's still waiting for his first big win with Discraft. So
Yes.
I know that's got to be something that's kind of weighing on him, right? You think you
Yeah.
change the sponsorships, but you want to, still be that
why
top
his
guy.
putting is that why his putting's not quite clicked? I don't know.
I don't know. There are a lot of really good putters on Discraft. So
think-
Yeah, it's obviously wouldn't be a disc.
No,
putt,
I know,
it would
I
be
know,
More
I
like
know.
adapting to
Yeah.
just like
No,
any
yeah,
kind of
adapt.
subtle
That's what
change.
it is. Like you can adapt. It's just like, yeah, I think that is a very legit thing though. It's like when you switch companies, your putting putter, it's tough. It's like, when you're putting for something like he putted with the deep dish stuff. I'm not saying Discraft doesn't have that, but yeah, I think you can get good with any putter, but it definitely there's an adjustment period where it's like, there's a few pros out there that have had putters made for them and aren't putting with them just because it's just not working for them. It's just this whole thing of like, you got to get the right feel when you switch companies.
Yep, for sure. All right, just last thing is kind of from the European scene. Every time we go over there, it's such a weird way to say it. I'm actually thinking like we go over there. Like what is
Yeah.
that? Like
Our eyes went over there through our
but even then,
phones.
like it's
Yeah.
literally our sports broadcast around the world, like
Yeah.
virtually. So like we didn't go anywhere. Anytime I guess we're saying the tour goes to Europe. That's a better way to say it. Every time the tour goes to Europe. I'll get it. I'll spit it out.
Yeah.
We often get European commentators. Is it Esa Tupa Pekkanen, I think? And now I'm
we had
forgetting
him.
the
We
other
had him on our
gentleman's name.
podcast, right?
Yes,
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, taught us how to pronounce all the names perfectly,
Yeah,
as
he
I'm
was
sure
great.
we're doing.
As I'm sure we don't do.
Yeah, but I always find it interesting how much kind of the disc golf world, whether it be media or whatever, say how much they love it. And I'm saying that I agree. It's something about their pace, cadence. I do think for Americans, there's a little bit of the accent and kind of the way they handle the professionalism slightly different. Not that our U.S. based commentators aren't professional, but it's a different vibe because we're a different culture. That's what I think. But
Yeah.
I think we really appreciate it, and I thought the coverage was great. Maybe we'll get Matt to do an off-hour interview with Essa again at some point, like 4 a.m. or whatever it takes. But
It's just like
Yeah.
it's kind of like obviously because I'm American and I'm not used to that accent every day. It's kind of like soothing. It's like listen to it. I think that's why.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't know, the way his cadence, the way he describes things. It's like it makes me feel like I'm watching golf.
yeah,
Yeah,
the professional, the sport coats, the jackets, like it's kind of little things. And again, I don't know, like some of that wouldn't work for some of our US based commentators because it's not who they are.
No.
I'm literally just kind of providing an objective saying it's just different. And I think some of that difference appeals to us. Like if you tried to force that, I'm just going to straight up say like onto like Ian and Philo, like it just doesn't come off the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
I think
is
every
what it is.
like different strokes for different folks. I think I
Which strokes do you like?
I like I like obviously the big sexy Barry commentary. That's like what everyone like, and I love Philo and I love Ian. Honestly, I love all commentators. I don't really understand when people are like, oh, I
There's
can't
not many.
stand to listen to these people. Like I think like I don't have a problem at all. Yes, they're all different styles, but like it doesn't matter. You have the Charlotte Hornets announcers that are known for being silly, goofy, and saying crazy things that go viral. But then you have, I don't know, like maybe the Yankees announcer. I forget his name, where it's just kind of like more like he has some good quips, but it's more like stoic and to the point. But I think they're
Buttoned up,
both
as we
good.
say.
What?
Yeah, I would say buttoned up. Isn't that like the cliche?
Yeah,
Like
but they're
all
both
buttoned
good,
up.
and I both enjoy it. Like there isn't one announcer, and I'm not just saying this. There isn't one announcer that I'm like, I can't stand to listen to. So I don't understand when people like complain about like Ian or Philo. I've seen recently. It's like I think they are like such a good duo. It's like Abbott and Costello, but not like comedy wise. But it's just like they complement each other. Where it's like Philo's just like smooth, chill
They've
cadence
gotten
with
better. What do you
Ian's
think
like.
about when they used to like subtly like argue with each other? I always got a kick out of that.
I've never even noticed that. That's what I'm saying.
So-
So it's
I'm
just
literally
like,
not saying I don't like them.
yeah.
It's just like funny
Yeah.
when like, you know, Ian says something, you can tell Philo disagrees and they just
he's
just
like,
kinda
I don't
starts,
know.
like,
Yeah.
No,
needling
I don't
into
know.
that.
Yeah.
I'm just like them
funny.
all.
I'm more, my opinion on, just since we're talking about them too,
Yeah.
I think they would make incredible post-round production commentators. But to me
Easy
personally,
starting.
nothing, yeah, exactly. Nothing beats the European commentary. And I think we talked about the cadence, the accents. It's just nice and fun to listen to. They get pumped up when they need to get pumped up. They're silent when, silence is kind of needed, so to say. And Yeah, I've always-
golf. Yeah.
yes, exactly. I've always appreciated, and I love the sport jacket or look to it. We talked about this years ago. I loved the green screen where they had all like the nice views and everything like that. I'm a super fan of their setup, or at least what it used to be. I didn't get to see it this past
It
weekend.
looked good. It was pretty basic. It
Yeah.
didn't look all that dynamic, but it looked good. It looked professional.
Yeah,
So,
and that's
yeah,
I'm waiting for the day.
it
I'm
was-
waiting for the day that we have, and this has happened at a few tournaments. Don't get me wrong, like World Championships. I love it when the commentators are actually on the property, and when you get a look at the commentators, you can actually see other people playing, or kind of if you've been to the venue before, exactly where they are. I've always loved that, rather than just the same old produced room that they use, whether it's out in Oregon or Milwaukee. I forget where all of them are. But
One's in
I know, don't get me wrong, that's not in our budget to go out to every single event. I understand that, but I do think it's pretty cool. Like I would love, with like Supreme Flight Open, just a badass area for the commentators up, on hole 18 or just somewhere around the course, just to show the, pretty aesthetics to it. I don't know. It'd just be really cool.
Yeah. Or we could just produce from Ben's RV as we're doing here.
Can definitely
I
do
can't
that.
believe
Just,
how
set up
smooth
the whole outside.
this is going. It
All
did
right.
drop rates just for a second there, but now we're back. But no comment,
We're
no
back.
chats yet, so I can't believe how smooth it's
Yeah,
going.
no, yeah, we're surviving. So thank you those live listening. Thanks for those listening after. I will say, maybe it's just like kind of subtle things, but without any of like the transition music, I feel like we're just like talking forever. But I guess that's what we do on a podcast.
Right. Yeah.
I'm kind of like waiting for the down.
Down. Yeah.
Wait, is that Pop Rock
Yeah.
Rock? Because if it
Yes.
is, we're transitioning there.
Yeah. There you go.
By the way,
Okay,
I have
so-
oh my goodness.
No, so I was just to say, you
Oh.
ready? Tee up the segment. We really do need the music. Ben, tell us who we thanking, who sponsors our segment. Down.
Pop,
who is it?
drop, lock, yeah. Can we do that live and have like hundreds of audience members and then they all scream pop, lock, drop? Okay.
We'll film it at the next expo.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So who sponsors?
Hooligan
who
Discs.
supports this
Shout out
segment?
Hooligan Discs. They just came out with a premium dime, and they have their base plastic dime. It's a great putter. I highly recommend if you're trying to try out putters, try out the dime because I putted with it when I was on their team. That's what I putted with last year, and I absolutely loved it. And the premium dime, I guess, flies like a Luna, but you're supporting a small company, so definitely go check them out. And if you win the week in Pop Lock Drop, Hooligan Disc will send you a prize, and hopefully they'll send you a premium dime if you request it.
I was going to say it could be a premium dime.
All right. So thank you, Hooligan Discs. So I'm going to tee this right up and say, all right, listeners, you ready? There's about to be a little drama on the show.
There's a debate.
And hey, as I'm speaking generally, as much as all the listeners probably think we must talk often on the side, or we've got these like long, lengthy like chats. The truth is, of course, we have an ongoing text chain, but there's not a lot of action there. There is when needed. We're friends. We throw things out, like whatever. But my point is we're not like just talking all the time. We're busy, and we come back on Monday nights and we talk it out here. So, Pop Drop Lock. Here's the drama. I'm just gonna state it. We didn't do picks on last Monday's show. we talked about that out loud. We said we're not doing picks because we weren't prepared to do picks because of a bunch of outside factors. And we said we'll all submit our picks before the event, like normal, per normal deadline. So one of the very few times that we didn't hold ourselves accountable to the show deadline. For all of you who are curious, on the show, we all do our picks, and that's our deadline, even though technically the event doesn't usually start till Thursday or Friday. Yeah. Okay? But we all got the extra time. We have not actually debated this. So you're all hearing this real time, right? So literally, so we have not fleshed this out in our text chain. So you're hearing it raw. And of course, without Matt here, sorry, Matt, what we talk about is what we talk about. But apparently something was wrong in the technical code, which didn't prevent people from making picks before the event officially started. Now, this is the theory, right? This is the going theory. Our developer caught that bug and realized it and went through and said, oh, anybody who was able to but should not have been able to make submissions, right? In other words, the event had already started, at least according to Shrek, our awesome developer, by the way. So this is not,
yes,
we're not
love
pointing
Shrek.
him out. Like he's built this thing for us.
Yeah.
But says, oh, they shouldn't have been able to. So there weren't that many people, kind of scrubbed the logs, sees the timestamps, and just like whoever it is, just pulls them out. Because if the code had worked, they wouldn't have been able to do it. Well, apparently in pulling them out, it caught two of our very own, I think.
Boo.
So apparently Nick and Ben were in that sweep.
Yep.
Which means if you go look out there and pop, drop, lock, you will not see picks by Ben or Nick. And
but I got to see my picks after round one. That's the thing.
Well, right, and that's probably when they realized, wait a minute, something's wrong.
Thing.
So, all right, so I just teed it up, and I think we're going to need the chat to weigh in for sure, because the basic thing is if we, when Evan was here, this would be like an infamous debate, right? Rules are rules.
Rules are rules. I agree.
But do they have to be? So I don't know. So Nick and Ben, what happened?
Are they more like guidelines?
What happened? You just didn't submit the picks? Is that what?
Yeah, honestly, just when we talked about it Monday night, saying, "Hey, we're going to do it before the event," totally forgot that there was an event going on just because it was out in Europe and busy work week last week.
Wait, but did you? Hold on.
So I'm pretty sure. 100%. I'm pretty sure I went to bed super early on Thursday because I had a 2.5 hour drive to work Friday morning, and so I knew I had to go
before 9:47 p.m.
Yeah, I think I went to bed at 7:45.
Oh, jeez.
And so Matt had texted us, and so when I read it the following,
I texted at 9.
Or you texted?
9:47 p.m. Everybody. Yeah. On Wednesday evening Eastern Standard Time.
Yes. So I think I went to bed around 7
before the event starts, something like that.
Yeah, I went to bed super early, whatever, 7:45 or 8 o'clock that night, and then I woke up, I think about 3:45 for work, 3:45 or 4, something like that, and I had read the text message, but I was like, you know what, I'll get it done in a second. I got to drive to the shop, I have to get my truck ready, and then I have to drive out to a town that's called Manchester by the Sea, and
sick.
Yeah, it's a beautiful home that we were working on.
Yeah.
Horrible job, but beautiful home we were working at. So it was great. Anyways, I was driving out there. I was like, oh, crap. Let me do my picks. And so I stopped at a rest stop because they have a honeydew, and I like getting the jalapeno cheddar bagel with cream cheese and a nice chai, And so then I go and put everything in, and I was like, sweet, I'm submitted. Completely forgot time zone and everything like that. So then later on, I was like, let me check scores really quick. Check PDGA live, and the girls were through like 9 holes, and I was like, oh, yeah, there was no way that I put it in on time, but it submitted. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm good. Maybe I'm cheating right now. And anyways, that's my excuse. So no real one.
Ben, what's yours?
I submitted before the event started.
Before the first.
Oh, Shrek's got timestamps.
Yes. Before the first FPO. I have timestamps too. I don't want to go to a different
No, don't do it now. Your computer won't hit it. Well,
I have timestamps, and I'm
what you're saying
confident.
Is you're gonna make your plea to Shrek, our developer, and if you're in, you're in, and if you're out, you're out.
No, I think we should be in regardless because like rules are rules, but the rule of that week allowed us to submit. So if it allowed us to submit...
Hold on. Let's see. I'm just making sure. I'm not telling you my vote yet, just so you know. I'm just arbitrating here. So just to be clear, you're saying what
We
the
should be allowed
technical
to-
code allow you to do versus what the rules are.
Yeah. No, well,
Okay.
what pop drop lock the website allowed us to do should be honored
Okay.
because
So
we
it
were able to
says-
submit.
So the rules say participant must visit popdroplock.com to create an account and submit their selections. This is what it says before 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the day of the tournament.
Doesn't matter what it says.
Ooh.
It allowed us to do
Rules are rules.
Right, but Nick, you probably still missed that, right?
No, I actually do think I was earlier than that.
Yeah. See, Todd.
Honest to
if the
goodness.
system that's what I'm saying.
Look, I honestly, I did not submit it before the tournament started. So if you were to say no bueno, I would say absolutely. Like totally
Dude,
in agreement
I
with
say
that.
bueno
Not
for
going to argue
I
it
got
whatsoever.
116 points. That is so
Oh,
much. Like
yeah.
I would have been the leader, and I was erased.
I
From
know, but
history.
you have to understand this is my first like win on as a host this week.
But you didn't really win.
No, he kind
That's what
of
I'm
did.
saying. The
kinda-
system
I kinda-
allow.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
it's like if
but
you go
the
into a
system
grocery
also,
store
like,
that's
took you
supposed to
out.
be closed, and then you go to self checkout and they allow you to buy something. What am I gonna do? They're gonna call me and be like, "Hey, come return that.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
supposed to
they
be
do.
closed."
They
No,
do.
they don't. No,
yes,
they don't.
do. Absolutely. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. There are
All right, so
absolutely. It can show you cases where they go after you because they weren't supposed to sell it. Now, I agree. Legally, it's probably pretty hard for them to pursue it, but they will try. Which is what we're trying to do right now, Ben. We're trying to.
I
say,
mean,
no.
the system allowed me. I submitted
Right.
before. I mean, I've submitted.
So
All right,
you'll have to
we're
talk
gonna
to
have
Shrek.
So
and
now
get-
we are gonna have to. Well, Shrek
No,
can,
it's got to be about the host.
Hmm?
well,
Sorry.
wouldn't it be anyone who?
No, I was saying Shrek. I know.
By the way, probably need clarification because it's not. It's all around the world. In the future, or we stick with the way Shrek did it. So Ben, I actually think the rules are written in your favor.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Unfortunately for us.
Sorry, guys. I was just checking. I was checking
Yeah,
my
so you
official.
checked something, and now all of a
official
sudden we all
timestamp.
got robot voices.
My timestamp is I submitted on 11:45 on Thursday. I don't. I think that's before. I don't know, but yeah.
Oh, that's before the tournament started for sure.
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was. So I think I'm good.
Okay, we can arm wrestle it out later. We probably will have to have it out in the chat, and Matt will probably disagree because he's trying to run away from Ben.
I know Matt's gonna disagree, but hey, it allowed me. The system allowed me. Comment below.
Yeah,
No,
I'm wondering.
just so we're
I'm
clear
wondering
where I
why
stand.
you got booted then, Ben.
Well,
I
that's
don't
the
know
question.
either because I
Ben
didn't
doesn't.
submit before like after
Yeah.
7 a.m. on
Ben
Thursday. But
Adams?
what time zone are we talking about here? Doesn't
Well,
matter.
no. As long as you submitted before the first player tees off for the event, then I
did.
100% think you should be in.
Thank you.
Right?
I agree.
For this specific week.
Yes, because it allowed me.
I mean, whether it allowed you or not, like it allowed me to submit picks, but I know I submitted
Ben
them
said
late.
it's terrible.
So
I
here's
didn't
what's-
cheat though. That's
No,
the
no,
thing.
no.
I didn't cheat.
No,
I did
no,
it before.
Oh, right. If you did it before.
This guy's
so
saying
this is kind of
steroids.
we've
That's
got
cheating.
like three whole like scenarios mixed in here, which is why it's funny. So like we're just gonna have to we'll come back and let the audience know. We'll read all the comments and take them into account, and we'll message Shrek. And obviously, it's all a game and good fun, but it's actually not, right, Ben? Like we gotta
There's
win.
stakes. Like I want to go back to back champ. So I need to real quick. My 30-second official defense is that the system allowed me to submit. I did it before the tournament, therefore, and I got 116 points, leading all of our members. And therefore, if I get struck with 0, I am no chance basically catching Matt. But if I get my points that I think I deserve, then I am like 80 behind. That's my case. Comment below what you think.
All right, and then
please don't be
I'll-
mean. I can't take it. I love you.
Yeah. No, we'll just ignore the mean stuff. And my official take is it has nothing to do with if the system let you or not, because that's BS. It has everything to do with the rules on the site say something, and it sounds like maybe we didn't stick to those exactly the way they were written. So
Yeah, because the system
I mean-
allowed me. That's what I'm saying.
Well, just because I mean we say 7 a.m. Eastern time, right?
Yeah, I probably shouldn't say 7 a.m. Eastern time.
Ben, I think the system allowed me is a bad argument because like the system allowed me, but I know I was late. You weren't late on your picks. That's your argument, is that you literally submitted them on time.
That's my argument, guys.
That's like
forget about what I said.
That's all you have to say is I did it beforehand, and I think there was just a mishap on Shrek's part. That's fine to say.
No, well,
I know I submitted it late.
Blame either. Like this is just like a weird code thing that like is bound to happen. Is you can't even notice because it's just coding just coding. It's not like Shrek was like.
Don't be surprised when all of a sudden I also email Shrek and have like 300 points show up on my account like next week. So
like yo, here's $50. Okay. Just add
the system allowed it.
The system allowed it is a terrible argument, and you will lose every time. All right,
guys. So here's system allowed it. Here's my 3 now. System allowed it.
All right, make it quick.
I submitted before 7 a.m. rules. Weird in different time zones.
So you're just piling on all whatever works. All right, throw it at the wall.
There you go.
All right, we're gonna figure it out. I think it's probable that at least Ben will get points, and Nick maybe will just throw you a bone because of where you're at. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right.
It is all good.
I'm going to ask you all, so we took this out long enough. Hopefully everybody has fun arguing with us here. But literally in a fun way, comment. Because if you think Ben's the system allowed me argument is great.
No, that's not my argument anymore. That's not my argument anymore. But
unless it works. If it works, you're going to keep that argument, right?
It sort of is my argument. I have multiple arguments. Hire me to be a lawyer. I think I did a great job. I think I put everything out the wall, and whatever sticks is the one I'm going to agree with. That in my favor.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, I figured that would be the case.
Objection.
All right. So officially, I got 91 points, which is a great week for me. Eli Swanson, we talked about him earlier. Kevin Jones, not so much. But listen, I picked Niklas and Silva to win, and they both came back in the last round to nail the win, which is pretty cool. And I also picked Silva to drop, which is kind of a funny strategy. But hey, it means I netted 19 points on Silva's pick. So Matt came in with 88 points, 3 points behind me. And his big pick was Julia Fors to pop in FPO. That gave him 38 points. He also picked Silva to win, Ricky to win, and some other good points across the board. And I don't have the actual picks for the rest of you.
I can tell you mine.
All right, spit it out.
Pop.
Go ahead.
Eli Swanson. Drop Niklas Antila. Lock Niklas Antila. Pop Julia Fors. Drop Kristen Tatar. Lock Silva Saarinen. There you go. So I only got -10 on Niklas. The rest I did pretty good. Pretty well with.
Nick, do you even recall who you picked at this point?
No, I remember picking Pop as a KT Tati, and I think I picked Anakin to win, I want to say. Normally I take a picture of it. For some unknown reason, this one I didn't.
Because you felt guilty. You were picking so late.
Yeah, no kidding. No, it was funny. When I actually looked and they were through like 8 or 9 holes, I was like, oops. And KT was actually like kind of popping too. She was like 2 or 3 down before the back. And she got, her on the back 9. Not her, like physically, but just like the back 9.
Yeah, the score
kind of crushed her. Yeah. And, but no, other than that, I don't remember. But
if we take the points for where they are, which does not include Ale for Ben and Nick. So because I'm not doing any other hypothetical math at the moment. Nick, you've got 216 season points. I am third place with 420. Ben's 569, and Ben, I know you're arguing you're over 700, I think. And Matt is at 755, which actually
Ben really needs that.
Yeah, and that puts Matt in 4th overall for the entire season. In first place, I think there's a change here. I forget who was in it prior, but I don't recognize the username, which is Humorous Monkey, which is a pretty ridiculous, name. So Humorous Monkey is winning the overall as far as the particular event. I think Matt usually coordinates maybe with Hooligan, but first place overall is Humorous Monkey at the Ale as well, with 177 points. Obviously with the rating system, he picked Eric Oakley to drop, gave him 49 points. And and some other Julia Force picked Silva to win.
Kristen Lotta drop was almost 20 points.
I know, which like it's crazy
Yeah.
because this is the rating difference because you can't get 20 points on Kristen to drop. Literally,
Anywhere
it's
else.
impossible
Yeah.
because I think right now her average rounded is like first place or something.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of anyway. It is what it is. Great.
No, it
great
worked
rules.
out great.
Maybe we need to change those rules too. But hey,
I kind of like them. It makes for a huge week. I do like all the points that are out there. It makes for a big week. I like it personally.
All right. So without prolonging it, because some people this is their favorite episode, but or not favorite episode, say favorite segment. Let's talk about the preserve. So we want to get to PDL picks specifically, but the preserve. I think we know the history of this event, where Kale and his team, Airborne Disc Golf, I think, right, ended up buying the property, really kind of building it, made it kind of a destination, has really been received well by the players. Some players like Simon Lizotte have just talked about like how it's just incredible because it keeps disc golf fun. I think since that time, Kale and his team has sold that, so they're not directly involved, but it's still on the tour. And I think a lot of players really enjoy it. It seems like it's kind of a fresh pace change as far as some of the other grueling courses. But yeah, I say we go through our picks.
Do you guys know who's presenting this tournament?
No, but it was like Microsoft Teams last year.
Simon
Line.
Is it really?
Yes.
Very, very cool.
Which, for some odd reason, it doesn't say. It just says DGPT Preserve Championship, so I don't really know why it doesn't say presented by Simon Line. But who knows? But anyways, this is, presented by Simon Line. I'm 99% sure this kind of, the way they have it on PDGA page has me like second guessing, but I literally just played a round of golf yesterday with Simon, and I was like, "Are you excited for your tournament?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm leaving on Tuesday." So, anyways, pop, drop, lock.
Very cool. Yeah. So who wants to go first? Who's got their picks officially saved?
I got them
as of Monday afternoon, evening timestamp.
I got them.
I think mine's in at like 6:50 p.m. So it was before the show. I know that.
All right. Very, very good.
But I'll go ahead.
Run through them.
Yeah. So I'll start with FPO. FPO Pop is Kona Montgomery. She's averaging 25th right now. I think this could be a great course for her. FPO Drop is Haley King. We haven't really seen too much of Haley out on the tour, but she is averaging 10th place right now. So anyways, and then for my FPO Lock, I've got 3 more of these. Missy Ganon, I think, is going to take this one down. She's been playing great lately. On the NPO side, I got Garrett Gerthy popping off. He's averaging 55th right now. To drop Sullivan Tipton, averaging 21st. And I figured because it's his tournament, might as well pick my NPO Lock as Simon Lizotte.
Pretty good. Ben, you got yours?
Yes. My pop is Calvin Longquist. My drop for MPO is Austin Turner. I don't know if he's going to return from injury. I keep picking him.
I picked him to drop before, and then I just get a 0 because he doesn't play. But
yeah, because like he's been.
What did he injure?
It's like a wrist or something.
Yeah, I'm just doing that because the injury play, but it hasn't been working because he's like 17th, but
right.
Doing
It's like
crazy.
there's 0 risk, but there's also no upside.
Yeah. Lock, Ricky, Pop, D1 athlete, Taylor Chosick. Let's go. Drop.
Dude, it's so funny. Like in other areas of life, like having nothing to do with disc golf, like just whatever radio or I hear like D1 athlete, and no matter what the conversation is now, I think of Taylor. Like it doesn't matter what sport we're talking about. I hear D1 athlete, and I think of her.
Let's go. And then FPO Lock. Oh man, I didn't pick FPO Lock yet.
Timestamp it.
Oops. Wait, go to
Do you have
Josh.
somebody in mind, or are we moving on?
Moving on. I'll come back. I thought I
come
submitted.
back, but you gotta lock that in before we wrap the show.
Yeah, I thought I did submit it. For some reason, it didn't I submit on here.
Wait, so according to your argument, if the site doesn't submit, then it doesn't count either, right? Like if you can't submit it, then
No,
you just don't
if
get to do
it's if it let me submit.
Right. So you're like a one way. You're like, if it lets me, it's good. If it doesn't let me, then it's not fair. But all right, here's Matt's picks. Pop, Garrett Gerthy, who's averaging 55th place. So big potential.
These are Matt's picks.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I swear to God, we pick the same people every single
Haley,
week.
That's who it was. I don't know why I didn't save.
All right. Well, make sure
the system didn't allow it. Like it's unfair. It's
Shrek's tinkering out there with you right now. Evan Smith to drop and Anthony Barella to lock for the win at the Preserve. Probably pretty good picks. For FPO, Matt's picking Eliezra Mittling to pop, Cat Merch to drop, and Missy Ganon to lock. All right, and then you've got mine. You ready?
Missy Ganon.
Yeah, NPO pop for me, Luke Taylor, averaging 36th place. I mean, he's got the skills. Just hone it in. Could pop right up the leaderboard. To drop is Ezra Aderhold. I don't know. I'm playing the game of like he's traveling back and forth. I think he's used to it. It's probably like a ridiculous play on my part, but just like, are you tired? And don't go look how he finished there last year. And I forget why. There's probably something behind it, but it was, if that happens again, then I'm making bank. And then Kyle Klein to lock. Got to spread your picks out. I think Ricky's a great pick, but can't pick him too often. Kyle Klein's due. FPO pop for me is Rebecca Cox. Drop is the same as Matt with Cat Merch. It's kind of a hard pick because I think she could nail her average there, but you got to pick somebody. And then I'm also picking Missy to win. So Matt and I are sharing 2 of the FPO picks, but that's the way it goes. So everybody else, go out there, make sure you follow the rules. You can read the rules on the page. Don't submit after a certain time. If so, we're going to go strip you out of the records and forever ban you from playing. No, complete sarcasm. It's a lot of fun. Everybody go out there for real. Popdroplock.com. It's simple. It's free. All you have to do is submit 6 picks. Really easy. You just go in there. The drop down, the data's there that you need. You can see their averages, and you pick them to pop, drop, or lock. And then you compete weekly. And thanks to Hooligan Discs,
Yes.
Supporting this segment. We didn't get them up on the screen this week, but check them out. And we've interviewed Garrett on the show before. Great brand, a lot of fun, doing some good things. And if you win, you get a reward. And if you win the season long, then you get to join us at Maple Hill and play around with Simon Lizotte. So not bad for a free game. Plus, you can track how you're doing and play along with your friends out there. So check it out. A lot of fun. Nice and simple. Pop,
lock, drop.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, looking forward to the Preserve. It's such an interesting stretch. We're kind of in the middle of the season here. I think U.S. Women's is the next major on the back of that, and then we get really close to heading out to Europe, which is crazy because then we're getting a couple majors within like 3 weeks. So that is going to be the peak of the season for sure. Yeah. All right. A couple other random things. Well, I guess they're not random. But Nick, Ben, anything else on Ale or Preserve? Because if not, I'm moving off of those.
Nope. Great event.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Preserve next week. There's not much to talk about going into it. It's like we've been here the past 15 years, it seems.
Yeah. Now, Ben, are you yourself actually going to the Preserve?
Yes, I am going to be there by Wednesday. So like I said, I'm on Mount Rushmore now. I'm about, I don't know, 8 hours away. So I'm going to enjoy kind of South Dakota for a bit and then head there. And I'll be, and the world's largest rubber duck is going to be at the Preserve. So that's some news that
what?
If you didn't know that. The world's largest rubber duck.
Now you got to tell us because I have no idea what you're talking about.
First off, the system allowed this one. Second off, it's the world's largest rubber duck. It's inflatable. I don't know if it's gonna. Does the Preserve have a pond or lake? I've never been there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like a big one.
Have water.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe
I don't know if it's big enough for the largest rubber duck.
But it's going to be there. Yeah, the world's largest rubber duck is going to be at the Preserve. So, super cool. But here's the thing. Talking about the system and allowing it. I don't think it's made out of rubber. So is it actually the world's largest rubber duck?
You'll have to find out and keep us in the loop.
Plastic duck, something. All right. Anyway,
are you spreading misinformation?
Yeah. And by the way, Nick, I did check out the actual logo for the Preserve. Definitely has Simon Line in it. So yeah, like, they just somehow never got into the PDJ name. I don't know what the arrangement is.
That's frustrating. If I was Simon or Simon's team, I would be pissed. I'd be all over it right now.
Who knows what the actual
someone call Evan Kearns. Hey Siri, call Evan Kearns.
Maybe he's got to pay a little bit more.
Actually
to get the official name changed. You know?
What do you mean? It's presented by Simon Line.
Yeah, it just doesn't say it on the PDGA
if you read
page.
The actual PDGA event name, like in the PDGA record, Simon Line is not in it.
Yeah, it just says DGPT, the Preserve Championship.
Well,
should
Simon,
say that.
Something for you to get angry about. I'm sure Simon will get really angry. I'm sure.
Go win that tournament, Simon. Give me a lot of points,
rub it in.
and then exactly.
Yep.
Just
All
kidding.
right,
We love the PDGA.
So we 95%, maybe 90% focus on the Pro Tour here. That's what we're about. That's what we mostly enjoy when it comes to talking disc golf. But there are other majors, and often we'll just kind of like poke at them a bit. So there was not. Is it actually a major? Is U.S. Amateurs a major?
Yes,
the event that
it
just
is.
happened.
It
Okay,
is.
yeah, I was just making sure I wasn't confused for some reason. U.S. Amateurs. It's only one division, which is AM1. Right? Because it's USAM, so it's open to every qualified amateur who wants to compete. Not separating FA1 or MA1, just MA1.
Wait, what? There's
I've
no
obviously known about
FA1?
this event for years, but I don't think I
Nope.
followed it closely. Well, I don't. You tell me. It's actually kind of a question. This is my point. It's like obviously I know USAMs, Michigan, the history. It's always there. Like so, I know about the event, but I don't know if I've like studied it closely. If you go look at the PDGA event, I only saw MA1.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know
yes,
that.
Ben. Yeah.
So if you're a
And
female,
so-
you have to play in MA1.
Well, you can. I mean, it's because it's not a men's division. It's the top AM division in our sport.
Interesting. I feel like they should add FA1. That's my 2 cents. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
And by the way, like, there's always a chance that, like, and I'm saying this with a smile on my face because it's true, that, I could be an idiot and have just missed it, but I'm pretty sure that's right. Now, Ben, U.S. Women's, of course, includes all the divisions,
Yeah.
including amateur divisions. So it's kind of this, like, weird, like, mixture.
Yeah, maybe it's
right?
just
You know
like
what
the
I'm saying?
weird naming. Like,
Because
yeah,
you do
it's like
have
the same
FA1
thing.
in U.S. Women's. You also
I
have
know,
the pro.
I know,
divisions
but
and
it's
junior
like
divisions.
here's my point. Winning FA1 in the what is it called? The United States Amateur Championship.
Well, there's the U.S. Women's Disc Golf Championship, which is in 2 weeks or whatever.
No, I know. What is the one that just played?
It's just the U.S.
US
Amateur
Yeah,
Disc Golf Championship.
winning that is like you won the event. Like winning US AM's FA1, it's like, oh, no one cares. FPO. That's my opinion. I think that there should be FA1 in the US amateurs because it's a bigger deal and not to be overshadowed. And first of all, they should allow girls to play, and it should be celebrated. Because we always celebrate like Ryan Mon and Slam and something crazy like that. And I know Cadence Burge won one year. I don't know exactly what one. It might have been like Amateur Worlds or whatever. But yeah, I didn't know that because yeah, if it's U.S. Women's, you win FA1, it's like, oh, cool. Where it's like you win
except that
U.S.
you won the
Amateurs,
United-
it's like
Yeah. Okay.
Well, hey, so
I'm
let's do
not-
this,
I'm
Ben.
not totally
In
off
2
what you're
weeks.
saying.
Yeah.
Just to be clear,
I'm in agreement.
It's not just cool. You literally are the United States Women's Disc Golf Champion.
I know. I'm just saying it gets overshadowed by.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So that's
FPO.
more about how the event is run, where all the divisions are together. Right. Is your point?
You're still like it's still cool. It's still cool. FA 15.
It's literally on the same
FA18.
tier and the same level, right? Like in other words, this is literally like the mixed division happened this weekend, and the female specific division happens in a couple weeks.
So in a couple weeks, when they do it, we,
Should call them out.
as Tagger stands, make a huge deal out of it, and we can help grow it, Ben.
Wait, I thought it already
and-
happened. The U.S. Amateurs.
Yes,
Yeah, the U.S.
amateurs,
amateurs,
he's
but the
saying
U.S. women's
amateur.
is happening in 2 weeks, and you're talking about how it's like, oh,
Yeah, let's not
FPO.
overshadow it. Whoever
Yeah,
wins
let's
that
not
wins.
overshadow it.
All
We're
right,
gonna
let's
hype them
get
up.
the FA1
Yeah.
winner on Saturday. We're committing to this. We're getting the
Hey,
FA1 winner on
You
Saturday.
are the
All right.
guest guy.
Yeah,
so
I was gonna say I'm up for it.
you,
Track 'em
yeah,
down.
track them down.
Yep,
Yeah,
bet.
head
we're
over.
doing it.
Where is it, Josh? Do we know where it is?
Yes, Minnesota, Wisconsin, somewhere up there.
Ah, gotcha.
I don't know why.
Okay.
I literally should know.
I know we're about to talk about the United States Amateur Disc Golf
I
Championships.
want to mention. So, congrats to James Collier.
Yes.
What are you going to say though, Nick? Maybe I could.
I am going to say in 34th place, one of the closest people that I met when I was living down in Florida was, Brian and Grayson Schneider. They were super close. They're lifetime members over at Olympus. Really, really good friends of mine down there. They're usually weekly listeners to the show, unless they're traveling, but they usually catch it post audio. But you'll see them a lot live in the chat. Anyways, supposedly, and if Brian is listening, fact check me on this because he'll probably text me. Supposedly Grayson was the youngest player, but he's also like 6'2", which is kind of wild. Anyways, he's
How old is
awesome.
he?
They're both awesome. Funny enough, I don't know now, and so like I'm kind of like second guessing myself because I thought he was like 16 or 17, but
Yeah,
maybe
if he's the youngest,
14 or 15.
pretty
I
impressive.
honestly I don't even know at this point. So, but Brian will probably text me, and then for next week I'll have the answers to it. Anyways, he's 960 rated. He tied for 34th. I was super stoked. He had some great rounds. I was keeping track as much as I could.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
he played in a under or 15 and under division this year.
So he's under 15.
Right,
might
and that
be
could be
8.
all the way down.
He
that
might
could
be
like-
6'2"
that's it.
at 8 years
Anything
old.
under 15. Yeah,
Yeah, he's literally it's wild. Anyways, they're
there's
awesome.
a lot of good junior players out there, man. It's like getting, yeah, it's always been crazy. I mean, Ganon's like proof, right? But it's
Yes.
just like continues to kind of level up. It's pretty crazy and awesome. All right, so we debate a little bit the nature of the event, but James Collier, congrats to him for winning. To your point, Ben, like it's pretty cool to say I am literally the United States champion in disc golf for an amateur. I don't know if you've
Yes.
seen any of the debate, but he's basically played pro divisions all year, like 17 events this year, all pro divisions,
Just didn't accept cash.
right? And then goes out and wins this event. I'll share my feelings, but how do you feel about that? Is that a concern for you? Because for some people it is.
What, that he's like super high rated and plays? I mean,
Yeah,
it's just
right, yeah. So
It's the nature of the
one case out
nature
there
of
is
the
he's
beast.
basically 1,000 rated. He's 999, and he knows he's a professional, which is why he competes in the professional division. Doesn't take cash, and then goes out and sandbags and wins the M championship, winning, and taking away the opportunity from a true AM. That's the argument. Any of that resonate
it's
with
just I think it's the nature of the beast. Like you're at this point in disc golf where you want to be an AM champion, and if you're allowed to be 1050 rated as long as you don't take cash and still be an amateur. I mean, the system allows it. Okay, I'm done with that.
The system allows it. Yes.
But yeah, it's just
the
but
system
technically,
allows
like
it to
really,
lock
the
in.
system really does allow it. So it's like you can't fault them. Like it's just like some people would rather give up a few $1,000s to have that title. I think I would personally, if I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait a year. Let's say I just magically got good and I'm 1,000 rated. I'd wait a year just to say like I am the U.S. amateur. Like that's such a cool title to have, and there's some great names of people that have won that. So
Yeah. I think I agree. Like to me, it's kind of a fundamental misunderstanding of what, the top amateur division of our sport is. It literally is supposed to be comprised of the absolute best players in our game who are not choosing to accept cash / make a living, right? Whatever it may be, for the sport. Because they're deciding, I don't want to do this for the purpose of making money. I want to do it for the sake of winning. So why would he play in those other divisions? Well, that's because also at the same time, I don't mean those other divisions. I mean, why would he play in a pro division, right? If he wants to be,
he doesn't want to
the best
sandbag
amateur.
like his local events.
Well, I was just going to say, because of the nature of our support. Well, actually, I don't agree with the sandbag comment. I'll respond to that in a
dude.
moment, 'cause you
But
can't
if he was 1,000
you
rated,
can't
still playing
sandbag.
MA1.
You can't sandbag in MA1. It's impossible.
No, but I'm saying local tournaments. That's more. But like it's more majors. It's like okay. But if it's local
Well,
tournaments,
so this
it's
is
like,
where
it's definitely
we're
more of a
probably saying the
stank
same
guy.
thing. We're probably saying the same thing, which
Yeah.
is you can't actually sandbag officially in MA1. But I think exactly, he's looking around and saying at all my local events, like it's more fun to compete against the
The
professional
pros
division
rather than
because a
beat
lot
the
of people have
950
stepped
local
up.
Charlie. That
Right, because would we feel any better or worse, the people who are complaining about him, if he literally got first place in every single MA1 tournament he played all year?
dude.
and then
I think
goes
he'd
and
be
wins?
worse.
People would
He'd
still
be
complain
worse,
and say he
yes.
should step up to pro. So the point is people they for some reason our sport think if you're really good, you're supposed to be pro, and if not, you're sandbagging. My take is you can't sandbag in MA1. I understand why in local events you might choose to play pro because you just want the better competition, but not taking cash. You're literally deferring cash. You're
Yeah,
saying
you're literally-
I want to be an amateur, And then to go out and win the top amateur event is exactly what the best amateur should try to do.
Yep.
And I have no idea what James is choosing to do, but I would be fine if he did this every year for the rest of his life. Like, you can choose to be an amateur and be the best our sport's ever seen as an amateur.
Well,
I understand why our sport's grown to kind of push people to the pro field, but like, I don't get why it has to be that.
That's what I was gonna say. Our sport is so weird where you can be 930 and be a professional, whereas in golf, you're considered an amateur like until unless maybe I don't know fully, but you're considered an amateur until you're like, you know, the pros are like the top. Even if you're great at golf, you can still be considered an amateur unless you're on is it a certain tour? I don't know really, but it's just weird. So I don't know golf. I don't know what I'm talking about it, but it's just weird how in disc golf it's like we can be pros at 930, where like any other sport,
Well, we can be pros at 700.
That's what I'm saying.
You just got to pay. You just got to pay $75.
Every other sport, amateurs are really good, like insane.
Yeah.
Like the pros are the next level.
That's my point. You can literally be the best. I could, in theory, imagine. Of course, this is kind of a thought exercise because it's like, why would you? But if Ganon Burr originally had decided he just never wanted to like be a
he just wanted to
professional,
play amateur events.
But just to be clear, like, I might be like, why would you, like, from an economic and like lifestyle and fun standpoint? But I would have zero problem, like, fundamentally, like, for someone to do that. You would literally be like, they are the best darn amateur play our sport.
It would just kind of be like they're like,
it would be stupid
it
because
would
we
get
wouldn't
old.
even
You'd be like,
recognize.
yeah, it'd be stupid. It'd be
Yeah,
like, whatever.
we wouldn't even be able to realize how good he is, right? Because he's not playing against the best people. So it's kind of a stupid. But my point is fundamentally, like, James, like, more power to you. You keep doing it every year if you want. Or if you've accomplished winning an amateur major and that's the benchmark and now you want to accept
Yeah, that's the
cash and try to
benchmark.
compete,
That's what I'm saying.
then perfect.
That was Ryan
go
Mon.
do it.
What was Ryan Mon
Well,
rated?
yeah, and people freaked out about that.
But and he got that's the benchmark.
didn't,
Now he
but-
can say he's the Am Slam and then you move on. Like no one's gonna stay.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I think we agree. It seems like, Nick, I think you generally agreed, right? You don't see it different.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there's a difference between the local scene and then like the major scene for the amateurs.
Oh, there definitely is, which is why he's playing pro, right? Because it's like,
yes,
he's trying
and
to
good
win the
and good for him.
Polar
Yeah,
Open at
and he's
at
kicking
Bill
butt.
Allen.
Yeah, and he's kicking butt in the pro division. I mean, he's 999 rated. He's won pro events. He's declined cash events that probably would have paid him out $500, $600, $700.
Yeah.
He's declined all of those to fulfill the dream of an amateur player, which is getting the Am Slam or Amateur Nats or the Am Worlds, whatever. And he's probably signed up for Am Worlds. Who knows? Yeah. And I think in the local scene, if he was to just keep playing MA1, I think he would kind of get hated by everyone else. And so kudos to him for playing pro and kicking
He's
butt.
probably literally making the best decision. It's just funny.
Yeah.
And by the way, like, I am fully aware as anybody that like seeing one or two social media posts doesn't really represent what most of the disc golf world believes. But like, we've long had this history. I feel like we've kind of grown quite a bit. But the term sandbagger, when I entered the sport, I heard that a lot. And like, I was just like puzzled by it because the PDGA, they've adjusted some of this over the years, but they published like the official brackets and standards. And I'm like, if you're within that, you're not sandbagging, like, officially. I don't get it, but
It's just because,
anyway.
like I said, it comes down to our pros being 890 rated. Some pros. It's just like that's what it is. It's because, I mean, dude, I was seeing. This is so random, but I was looking at like old tournaments around Maple Hill, like old. Like this is when disc golf wasn't that popular. Like it was Macbeth and Ricky were the best in the world, and like years ago, whatever that, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, probably like close to 8, 9, and the pros locally were like 912 rated, and that was like the average. There wasn't anyone like crazy. Like it's just like,
Yeah.
it seemed like they just played up. They played up. And Andrew Streeter, actually, I think I saw on Facebook, he mentioned how like, yeah, back in the day, if you were an amateur, you just played up to pro. You could be 912 pro.
Well, so back in 2019, I remember winning a couple C tiers, and I think maybe one or two of those, I averaged just 1,000 to win the tournament, whether it was by 1 or by 3, I forget, but just barely squeaked over 1,000 average rating over the event. That was before Massachusetts had really any 1,000 rated players at it too. Like I think I was 970 or 980 when I was winning those. And so the difference in the last 6 years of disc golf is insane.
Yeah.
Now we got people like, Dylan, Kyle, but I'm going to use Dylan as an example because he's been killing it this year. he's going out shooting 1070 rated rounds at B tiers. 1030, 1040 rated rounds. He's winning tournaments by 10 strokes right now, averaging well over 1,000. But now you see a lot of your local tournaments will have 1,000 rated players at them now. And the money's gotten better. Yeah. 500 most B tiers with no added cash except for what is required. Most of them pay out anywhere from $450 to $700, and a lot of times they're just 1 day, 2-round events, which I think are the best for B tiers. So yeah, you get a lot more people being serious about it because let's say you work a full-time job, you're a really good disc golfer, but you get your week's paycheck from working your full-time job, and then you add an extra $300 to $500. It's kind of just funny money at that point. Just added bonus cash.
Yep. Yeah. Well, anyway, congrats to James. It's cool to win a major, and I just thought it's an interesting crossover for us to talk about AM and pro and all of that. So I guess we're glad Ganon went pro, though, right? When did he go pro? Like as a kid?
Yeah, when
He's
yeah.
Anyway, all right. One last thing. Speaking of Ganon, so on social media this week we posted some clips from the show. By the way, go back and listen to the show. It's kind of funny because in some ways I have a good time calling Ganon a kid because he's young, but he's also one of the best in our sport. So in many ways,
he's 20 now. He's good now. I was working for a teenager for like a month. So
but like in all seriousness too, like the same time of kind of joking about that, like I recognize that he's put in a lot of work and he's at the top of the game. And so what he says like matters, right? The same way we've interviewed a lot of other top pros, it's like, hey, his thoughts about things. And so a very interesting show for him to elaborate, especially obviously on his performance, on his win, his mindset going into that last hole. But then we also talked to him about some of the proposed rule changes and got to some of that conversation. And we got a lot of reaction by sharing some of those clips. And I just find it interesting because, on Instagram, we put a little poll and says, like, do you agree with Ganon? And I don't remember right now, but it was practically 100%. Everybody's like, yep. Because Ganon was basically saying, look, it's all a problem, right? Meaning asking players to make calls on each other, having inconsistent calls from marshals, having marshals not make calls, like just kind of all that mess that we've talked about. And so on Instagram, apparently everybody agrees with him. And then over on like Facebook or in the comment threads, we have everybody like bashing Ganon. And I just like,
poor Ganon, man.
Oh yeah, but that's what it's like at the top of the game.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it is of being the number one player in the world. Like LeBron, everyone hates LeBron, but then he has the loyals too. So it's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So like I could care less also about all the comments that are just kind of all over the board, but I actually literally do find this interesting. Here's what I more wanted to react to, is I think I said this at the end of last week's show a little bit, but curious if you all have any other thoughts, especially seeing I'm loosely calling it the backlash on some of those comments or his comments, is what is the balance of Ganon? This is my take. He's just looking at it from a very practical standpoint. This is some of the quote. You can go to our social media, follow us if you're not, like we post clips periodically, or just go to our YouTube. Basically he says, look, I've never called anybody and I'm not going to call anybody. And then he basically elaborates why, at least in my opinion. He's like, because if I do, like, I'm going to face like all different kinds of backlash from other players, maybe from the PDGA, depending how it goes down, certainly from his fans. And as a professional, besides winning on the course, everything else is all about brand management, right? I mean, obviously winning is like what it's all about, right? But everything beyond that is just like, why would I want to ruffle any feathers? On the flip side of this, you have a lot of the commenters are like, yeah, but it's your job as a professional. Like, it's not about your feelings. It's like you're supposed to actually do what you're supposed to do. And by the way, again, it's not the only one. Like he just voiced it on our show. It's a really interesting tension, and I think our sport eventually still has to figure it out. You have one of the best players in our game, and I kind of agree with him. But right, my point is one of the best players in the game making that statement, and then in our rule book, and you have Robert Leonard 3 weeks before on our same show saying the players, he's holding them accountable. They promised, right, that they're going to like now do this with some of these changes.
Well,
so, I don't know.
It's a little different. They're going to call time extension. But we'll see.
Yeah, that's right. That's what he's saying.
But
so Ganon going to call time extension?
No, I think
I don't think Ganon will. Not the way he acted on our show.
Oh well, I don't know. Like I feel like I said this before. I feel like the time extension is like just like a less abrasive, where it's like at least players are going to start calling it because it's more like It's more of a friendly gesture rather than, hey, you're doing better than me. Let's say hypothetically, I'm upset about that. I'm going to give you a stroke, so I can. Right. But not like no one's thinking that. People would rather win fairly rather than winning because, like, he got a 30-second violation and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say, do we feel like any of the players are actually maliciously calling Ganon on his stuff or calling anyone on with faults or time or anything?
No one's not, but okay.
No, I know. But
go ahead. Finish, Nick.
I was just saying, like, I don't think their intent is to be malicious, but I'm of the opinion of a top professional should not have to worry about it. Like, Ganon shouldn't have to be worried about Ricky's feet or his time or something like that. Like that's the whole point of the marshal being on the card.
Yeah, we just see marshals.
In those situations, the marshals
aren't calling it.
And that's where, okay, so Robert Leonard wants to hold the players accountable, but the PDGA or the DGPT should also be holding the marshals accountable. But I also think that the marshaling process should be kind of rigorous in the sense of they should really have a good handle on all of the rules. It shouldn't just be any Joe Schmo volunteering for the event, and it's like, okay, awesome, I'm a marshal. Like Phil Delaney, when he was with the DGPT, is super smart when it comes to all the rules, event managing, everything like this. Like, that man is just built to do what he does in our sport.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, though, our governing bodies in the sense of like the DGPT, and I'll use them as the example, the DGPT sees the same players week in and week out. They pretty much travel with the players, essentially. They are all friends with the players. They have their cliques and everything like that.
Marshals that aren't friends.
That is exactly an unbiased opinion, just in general. You know, look at European Open years and years ago. The whole Nico LaCastro situation. That guy may have hated Nico and loved the fact that he could sign up and be a marshal on that card. He also may have been completely unbiased and just said, hey, last hole, you've been taking long this whole time. You know what? I got you. Time violation. And then the whole thing, debacle, kind of started there. But yeah, long story short, I think... Sorry. I was saying, long story short, needs to be a pretty hardcore process to become a legitimate marshal. But our sport does need them. I think as we grow and grow and grow and become more and more professional, more eyes are coming into the sport, seeing the sport, whether it's on YouTube or DGN, anything like that. I do think the marshal aspect of our game does need to increase.
Or, yeah, like...
And then, of course, we have one on a hole and calls Kristen, and we all melt down.
And it's just kind of like the whole thing about... Again, that one. And so I think the reason I think it's a bad call is because I don't think that he could see her feet and hands at the same time. Yeah. And then he even said, yes, I'm 100% sure, or no, I'm not really sure. Like he kind of went back and forth with it. But that's a call to where it's like, that one's really tough.
I know, but if we're saying we want a bunch more marshals, we're going to get more.
But here's the thing.
We are going to get more of that. We are going to get more of that.
We need a marshal like him. You can be friends with people on the tour. That's fine. I know I said jokingly, don't be friends, but you can be friends, but you got to separate your job. You got to take a line. And we need marshals like him.
Yeah, he didn't seem to be, he didn't
care that it was Kristen. Yeah. It was just like, I'm doing my job. And so that's what we need.
Ben, if you were a marshal, do you feel like you'd be slightly biased towards Ganon?
Oh, come on.
I'm genuinely asking.
1,000%. Because I'm Ganon's friend, but I would not be a marshal. That's the worst job I could imagine ever doing. But that's why we need them. Because it's such a tough job.
I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be interesting for our sport to figure it out. Yeah. Like, I think we all understand in a perfect world, you want however many unbiased marshals roaming the course. And you can get creative. Maybe it doesn't have to be 18 marshals. You can distribute them and hold. There's all different ways, right? But so that's fine. But even then, you're going to continue to find this challenge and balance. It's fine for our sport to kind of grow through that, but it's interesting when, you have Ganon saying that and, all different people reacting in different ways. Anyway, should be interesting.
I mean, if we wanted a perfect world for marshals, you would have 2 marshals on par 3s, 3 on par 4s, and 4 on par 5s. That way you have a marshal at the tee box, you have a marshal at the green. On a par 4, you have a marshal at the tee box, on the fairway, and on the green. You know what I mean? Like, But now we're talking, how many more volunteers is that?
It's crazy.
And how many more?
Well, I don't know.
But that's the only way that I feel like it could realistically
But
work.
then you have like Ganon rolling his eyes. I don't know if he officially rolled his eyes. It was close on our show last week when he's like, the marshals aren't calling anything. He's like, and then they call Kristen. Like you can literally
In the
see
final
his body.
moments of
He's
it,
like,
yes.
yeah, like
And
the
I
one
understand
call
that
they do
frustration.
make is
Oh.
like that, whatever. So Ganon also, I don't remember all of his quotes. I guess you can go rewatch it, but was talking about just be like consistent as well. I think he literally said, wouldn't
Yes.
I don't remember his words, so now I'm putting words in his mouth. But Ben, you may remember. He was like, hey, it'd be kind of like crazy to start a tournament and like on hole one, just like call every darn thing right out of the gate. Like, in other words, he's not really like wanting that environment, but if you're going to do it, just do it. Because then
Just do it.
everybody knows.
Mhm.
It's the same thing we say for other sports. It's like some refs and umpires are better or worse, but it's like if they're consistent, a team can adapt to it. Like I coach junior sports, and it's like as long as the ref calls things the same throughout the game, we can adapt to it.
Yeah, we need
That's what you're looking for.
We need the Tony Brothers and the Angel Hernandez of disc golf, where like they don't care what you think of them. They're just gonna call
and be
it
consistent.
how they see.
And be consistent.
Yeah. It's
'Cause
like
then we can
I
adapt
don't,
to it.
Like be
Like, if
be
we know
hated by
the
the
only-
players.
Like this is stupid, but if we know the only foot faults you're going to call on holes 16, 17, and 18, because that's when like it's crunch time, like I think that'd be stupid. But if everybody knew that that's the way it went down, then you would know. Like
Yep.
just be
Yeah.
consistent. Anyway, enough probably rules debate. I just thought it was interesting because there was a lot of kind of blowback and probably some of our more highly interactive social media clips in the last couple weeks.
Dude, yeah, it's crazy how like I wish we had a library of how long we've just talked about not even rules, just time violations. I feel like I've talked about it at least 48 hours of my life.
Yeah, we should call a violation on that. I think when Robert was on, I did say we were debating the word reasonable. I said we are unreasonably talking about this too long.
Yeah.
And
We
let's
talk
move
about
on.
time a lot. Yeah, it's just pace of play. Just speed up. I don't know.
Yep. All right. Well, what else we got? If not, like I'm saying, like play the pretty piano wind down music.
We're not.
Am I
Are we
missing
not?
anything?
Are we
I know,
not
I
giving
wish-
our
I wish I
Mount
had a
Rushmore?
keyboard.
I mean, I'll give you my Mount Rushmore.
Ben is literally in the Mount
Players?
Rushmore parking lot now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am.
That's
literally-
wild.
Mount Rushmore is right there. Probably. I
heard it's a lot. This is gonna sound very weird. Don't say it. Like, don't think of
well,
it like
then
this.
don't
But
say
I heard it's a lot smaller than people say. Like, it's not
I
as
don't think
big.
that's weird. Yeah, I think that's normal.
Like,
Ben's
people were
very
kinda
happy to take it
disappointed.
in. We've been distracting him here. He hasn't been able to like take it in.
Yeah. So are we gonna do that, or we can close it? I don't know. I feel like I want to.
Yeah, I mean,
Mount-
Mount
I'm not
Rushmore
gonna-
is
I'm
in
not gonna debate it long.
Washington, Lincoln.
Yeah,
I'm
but-
just kidding.
I don't know.
I'm just
Disc golf
kidding.
Mount Rushmore.
Is it 4? Right, 4.
Sure. And is it combined NPO FPO? You just got to name 4 people.
Ooh. Okay. I'll do both MPO and FPO. I haven't thought about this, but I'm just gonna go off the cuff.
All
Paul
right.
Macbeth, Ken Climo. These ones are really hard. I don't really know I don't know the other MPO. I'd really have to think about it. Let's go. Let's shift to FPO. Let's go. Paige Pierce, Kristen Lott. Is this? There's a few. There's like Valerie Jenkins, Juliana Korver, Des Redding, Elaine King. I don't know. I'd say
That's why it's hard.
I'm gonna go Juliana Korver, and I'll go. I don't know. Des Redding. that is not
There you
my.
go.
Yeah.
That's
All
not
right,
my.
I also
official,
not
but-
thought about it, and remember, it's your Rushmore, so you make the rules. I'm putting
Yeah.
Steady Ed on there. I'm putting Macbeth, Climo, and
such a good
Isaac
idea.
Robinson.
Whoa!
Hey, I got to
Big time.
redeem myself from
That's
picking against
crazy.
it.
Yeah.
Rushmore.
Yeah, just getting
wow.
ahead on it. And then, Paige Pierce, Korver, Jenkins, and Tatar.
Nice.
Jenkins. Yeah,
I would go-
Jenkins is good.
Yeah. MPO, I would go Steady Ed, Paul Macbeth.
Does Steady Aid count? Like
Yeah. Kind of like it's the reason we're talking about
okay,
disc golf
like
right
I
now.
understand, like he
Yeah.
would be on the actual Mount Rushmore, like the George Washington Mount Rushmore.
Hey, you can't
but
change
Yeah,
the rules.
that's- yeah.
You get
I
to
thought
make
we were
your
just
own
talking
This
about
is
the best
my
players,
Mount
the
Rushmore.
best players.
No,
You can
no,
do
we're
that
talking about
if
the
you
best.
want.
Yeah,
You can
yeah,
do
it,
that.
All right,
it
then
can be
I'll
players
add
for
Steady
you.
Ed to mine, and I'll add
All right, so you're having 6 people on your
I'll
Rushmore.
add
That's
Ian
fine.
Anderson for his commentary greatness.
All right,
Yeah,
Boom.
nice. There you go.
Steady Ed, Paul, Climo, and then I'm going to put Bob Giulio on there because he has made some incredible decisions for Discraft in the last few years that I think it's awesome for the sport in
He's like
general.
the Tim Cook.
But
Tim Cook.
yeah,
of
exactly.
Right.
And then if I'm going to FPO,
this is going on social media, and we're tagging Bob for that comment.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure I commented one time, like, you're on my Mount Rushmore of disc golf, Bob.
Right.
Anyways, and then for FPO, we'll go Kristen, Paige, Des Redding, because of what she does for the sport outside of, like Edge and everything like that. That's why, like, I'd love to put Yeti on there just because also he has one of the best nicknames in the sport. But I like the philanthropy side of things. So Paige, Kristen, Des, and then I don't know. Fourth one's kind of tough right now. I have my fourth one's TBD.
This is my
fourth one's TBD.
Instead of Ian Anderson,
yeah, it's up for grabs.
Terry Miller. That's my actual fourth.
Yeah. All right.
Boom.
Hey, I'm good with that too. Yeah. I'm good with whatever. You make the rules.
Steve Dodge, sixth Todd Rainwater. Yeah. I don't know.
And it's Jeff Spring. And anyway, it's highly likely that when we wing it like this, we miss something. So yeah, again, in the comments, tell us what stupidity we just overlooked. One of the best players of all time somehow or something like that. But anyway, always a fun exercise because you make your own rules there, Ben. Whatever your Rushmore is, it is.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, it's been a great show, Ben. Thank you for sitting in the Mount Rushmore parking lot and for producing. Thank you, Starlink, for keeping us up and running.
Yes, this was.
I don't know.
I
sound like it was a little choppy, but it actually sounds like it's not a Starlink problem. It's a Ben's PC problem.
Yeah, I don't know when I go look at another
browsing,
thing.
It can't handle all the pressure.
I don't know why it does that.
Nick, thanks for doing the long commute, making it back to the show in time. And Matt, wherever you are. We'll see him again soon.
Yes.
In a minute, Nick, I'm handing it to you to close us out. Mm-hmm. But I will say, next week, Matt and I, anybody who's been multi-year listener to this show, know mid-June, we're always gone. Big family vacation up in the White Mountains. So you do not have to hear Matt again next week, but you also will not hear me.
Why you say it like that? Like
he's my brother.
I love it.
He's my brother. I can rib needle.
That was hilarious.
I love being on the show with Matt.
Yeah.
Listen, Matt and I are going to be talking disc golf next week. I promise. It's just not going to be recorded or captured or live. Yeah. And so Ben
secretly
and Nick,
record
it's going to be up to you two to coordinate in your own chat. Ben, you got to get a working cell phone so Nick can actually talk to you.
I will this week. I'm getting a cell phone. I just have nowhere to ship it out.
So if a show doesn't go live, everybody, you can blame it on Ben and Nick. I'm not sure what the decision will be, but either way, Preserve's going down this weekend. But Nick, send us out.
Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in to this wonderful episode. Is this 241?
It is 241.
Nice. Episode 241 of Staggered Stance. Check us out on your favorite podcast platforms. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube video. Thank you, everybody, for chatting it up tonight. Like I said, check us out on everything and anything. Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. We've been making a ton of posts. So tell someone you love them this week. We will catch you guys all in the next one.
See you later.
Thanks.